entrepreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Fundamentals. Today we're going to talk about taxes and why you should do your own taxes as a small business owner. There's a big phobia about the IRS in the United States, and a lot of that fear of doing your own taxes is unjustified. As you've seen from my previous video about learning basic accounting, I believe that it is one of the most important things for an entrepreneur to know is his or her own financial health. You have to have your fingers on the pulse of your finances at all times. So that means that you don't farm out your bookkeeping or the preparation of your financial forms at the end of the year or your taxes to someone else. You do it yourself. Now, it's pretty easy these days with the various computer programs that are on the market that can help you do your taxes. You can enter in the numbers, they create the statements for you, and it feeds into the tax forms. So it's not as difficult as it once was. But there is that fear that we all have to get over, the fear of the IRS, the fear of making a mistake. I've known people who've just had the simple 1040 EZ. They work one job and they have nothing beyond the standard deductions. They're single, they have really no extenuating circumstances, no property, and they take their taxes to a professional preparer to have them done. And people are afraid of jail, they're afraid of messing up, but all I have to say is you really shouldn't let that fear hold you back from doing what you should do, and that means doing your taxes and having a handle on your own numbers. What happens if you do make a mistake? I made a mistake last year for the first time in 16 years. I got a letter from the IRS and a check. I made a mistake that was in my favor. And they reviewed my tax forms and found that I made a mistake. I don't know how I did it, but the letter explained what was wrong, and then there was a check in the envelope for $499 that I didn't know I had coming to me. If you make a mistake in the other way, if you underpay your taxes, the same thing happens. I knew a store owner who made a mistake on her taxes, and the IRS sent her a letter saying, "You owe us a couple $100." And if you ignore the letters, fine. You know, that's when it gets bad. But if you make a mistake, the IRS will catch it. And if it's in good faith, you just settle up with them, or in my case, they sent me a check. A paid preparer can do all this stuff for you, and people get a false sense of peace of mind from that, because a lot of people think that if they have their taxes prepared by a professional, then if something's wrong, then the professional is liable, and that's not true. You can hire somebody to do your taxes and do your financial statements, and they can do a royally bad job on the taxes, and they can walk away scot-free. You're the one that would face the auditors. Sure, a lot of these people say that if you get an audit, we will be there and sit with you and deal with the IRS auditors. But that doesn't mean that they take the fall for you. If they mess up, then you take the fall for their mistakes. And like I said, these are your numbers. You need to know, you need to be familiar with them intimately, always. So you need to be doing your own bookkeeping, and you need to be doing your own taxes. It's probably the most important thing that you can do. And how I learned how to do my own taxes, first of all, it's not as complex as people think it is. When I first started my business, I went to a workshop that was free at the public library. They even had donuts and coffee. and it was sponsored by the IRS. The IRS and other tax authorities want you to learn how to fill out the paperwork right. They don't want to correct your mistakes, and they certainly want their money. So they want to make it easy for you. So I took the workshop, and then I saw what schedules I needed to fill out as a small business owner, the different parts of your tax return. And then what I did is I ordered the instructions for each of those schedules, Schedule A, Schedule C, profit and loss from business, and so on. And in the early days of my business and retail store number one, I did not have a computer at my store, and customers were few and far between at the beginning. So I spent my time in my store reading these tax instructions. And it took me about a week and a half. I read everything from front to back, and I learned what I needed to do. And every year I keep up with the changes, which are not that drastic at all. The changes happen, they're very slight changes, nothing drastic. So I keep up with them every year, and I keep on top of things, and it's not hard. It's pretty easy. The instructions are written, I would say, at an 8th grade reading level, so they're pretty understandable. And if you have any questions about the instructions, you can call and you can email. And now all of the instructions are online, so you can look at them at your leisure. But I'm a big advocate for having control over your numbers and knowing exactly where you stand. So I really can't emphasize enough how important it is to create your own financial statements and do your taxes. That's all I have to say on the subject. Please leave any comments below, like and subscribe, and remember to work hard, and may all of your entrepreneurial dreams come true.